My pregnant wife's best friend moved back to town and immediately brainwashed my wife that I was cheating, until my wife asked for an open marriage. So I kicked her out that same night and filed for divorce. All right, Reddit. So my wife's toxic best friend moved back to town and spent 2 months convincing her I was cheating with zero evidence. My wife responded by asking to open our marriage while pregnant with my kid. I kicked her out that same night, filed for divorce, and watched her life spiral. Grab a chair and enjoy the chaos. I, 30 male, have been married to my wife Madison, 30 female, for 5 years, and she recently got pregnant after we'd been talking about wanting a big family. Madison teaches 3rd grade, but on weekends she's my licensed drone pilot. She passed the FAA Part 107 exam for fun, flies a DJI Air 3 like she's running air support, and knocks out grid missions that give me stitched orthomosaics with half-inch per pixel detail. She'll land, hand me a tablet, and I've got exact square footage, slope, and tree counts before I even set a boot on the property. Saved me from underbidding a 6-acre HOA by almost 12 grand and kept my guys off ladders. We met in college. She did elementary ed, I did horticulture. I built the landscaping company from a used truck and a push mower into 3 crews with steady commercial contracts. We bought a house. Life was solid. Then Brittany moved back. Madison's best friend had been 12 hours away in Denver for 5 years. Every time we interacted, I got this vibe. Not attraction. Resentment. Like she hated that Madison chose marriage over being her permanent sidekick. She'd make comments about marriage killing freedom, suggest expensive trips Madison couldn't afford, monopolize every conversation. But she was far away, so whatever. Then she got laid off and moved back. Suddenly, she's at our house 4 nights a week. Madison starts acting paranoid, wants my phone constantly, questions every female client, gets suspicious when I Venmo my buddy $10. The whole relationship turned into a surveillance operation. The first week Brittany was back, she spilled soda on our wedding photo, laughed it off like it was hilarious, started showing up unannounced during dinner. I'd come home from work and she'd already be there, eating our food, planted on our couch like she paid half the mortgage. One night, I walked in mid-conversation. Madison went completely silent. Brittany just smiled. That fake smile people give when they've been trashing you for the past 20 minutes. What were you guys talking about? Nothing. Madison's answer came too quick. Just girl stuff, Brittany added. I grabbed water from the fridge. Madison followed me to the kitchen. Why are you being weird? I'm not being weird. Just wondering why my wife goes silent when I walk into my own house. You're being paranoid. That's when it flipped. She was the one checking my phone, but suddenly I was paranoid for noticing her behavior changed. Funny how that works. 2 weeks later, Madison demanded my phone passcode for the 3rd time that week. I'd already shown her my messages, call log, everything, nothing there. If you have nothing to hide, why won't you give me your passcode? I already showed you my phone. But if I had the passcode, I could check whenever I wanted. That's exactly why you're not getting it. That's what cheaters do. They get defensive. I'm not cheating. I'm defending basic privacy. Brittany called right then. Madison answered on speaker. Did he give you the passcode yet? No. Classic cheater move. Trust me, I've seen this before. I left the room, went to my shop in the garage and worked on equipment until midnight. Came back in and Madison was asleep on the couch, phone in her hand, probably texting Brittany more conspiracy theories. Week later, Madison sat me down with this weird rehearsed confidence. Brittany helped me realize monogamy is kind of outdated. I just stared at her. I mean, if you're already cheating, which I think you are, then at least an open marriage would make it honest. It's actually pretty progressive when you think about it. She said it like she was pitching a startup instead of suggesting we blow up our marriage. No. She blinked. We should at least discuss it. There's nothing to discuss. We're done. What do you mean? I mean, pack your things and get out of my house. Her face shifted to this entitled shock. Like I just violated some unspoken rule where she got to destroy the marriage and I was supposed to sit there and take it. You can't just kick me out. I'm pregnant with your child. Yeah, and I'll be a father to that kid. But I'm done being your husband. You just tried to open our marriage because your toxic friend convinced you I was cheating with zero proof. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation. She stood up, voice getting shrill. You're overreacting. Couples explore options all the time. Get out. I live here. The house is in my name. You live here because I allow it. Now I don't. Get your things and get out. That landed. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. This wasn't how she'd imagined this conversation going. She probably thought I'd either agree, proving I was cheating, or refuse and feel guilty enough to let her keep pushing. Instead, I was throwing her out immediately. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Your parents, a hotel, Brittany's couch. Pick one. You're being cruel. I'm being done. There's a difference. She tried the pregnancy card again, rubbing her barely showing stomach. But here's the thing about respect. Once it's gone, it doesn't come back. And Madison had spent 2 months proving she had zero respect for me, our marriage, or basic sanity. I'll call my dad. Great. He can help you pack. I texted her father Rick myself, told him exactly what happened. That Madison just asked to open our marriage. That I told her to leave. That she needed to be picked up immediately. He called within 30 seconds. Get here soon. I hung up. Madison stood in the living room looking lost. The entitled confidence from 10 minutes ago had completely evaporated. She'd gambled that I'd fold or negotiate or feel guilty. Instead, she was getting evicted. Is this really happening? Pack or don't pack. Either way, you're leaving when your dad gets here. 20 minutes later, Rick and his wife Linda came through the front door. Rick looked like he'd aged 5 years on the drive over. Linda looked ready to cry. Rick's jaw was tight. Explain. I laid it out. 2 months of paranoia. Constant accusations. Brittany moving back and poisoning everything. Tonight, Madison suggested opening our marriage as a solution to her manufactured insecurity. I refused. Told her to leave. Simple. Linda turned to Madison, who'd come out with a half-packed suitcase. Did you really ask to open your marriage while pregnant? Madison's voice got defensive immediately. Brittany said if he refuses, it means he's hiding something. Rick cut her off. Brittany's an idiot, and you're a bigger idiot for listening. I thought it would help my anxiety. You don't have anxiety, I said. You have a toxic friend who hates seeing you happy. And instead of recognizing that, you decided to destroy a 5-year marriage. Linda looked at me with exhausted sadness. What about counseling? No, we're done. Tonight she leaves. Tomorrow I'm calling my lawyer. Rick understood immediately. He'd been military. He knew what done looked like. Madison, get your things. You're staying with us. Dad, this is crazy. Now. She went back to the bedroom. Linda followed. Rick and I stood there in silence. After a minute, he spoke without looking at me. I'm sorry. We tried to warn her about Brittany years ago. It's not your fault. Madison came out 10 minutes later with 2 suitcases. Looked at me like she expected one last chance to fix this. But my face was stone. Nothing there. We'll see what a judge says about kicking out your pregnant wife. We'll see what a judge says about you asking for an open marriage. Oh, and Madison? We have a prenup. You're not getting my business or my house. Her face went completely white. In all her planning with Brittany, they'd forgotten about the prenup I'd insisted on when we got married. Smart people protect their assets. You planned this? No. I planned for the possibility marriage doesn't work. Turns out I was smart. Rick guided her toward the door. Linda gave me one last look that was half apology, half plea. I gave her nothing back. The door closed. I locked it. Changed the code on the garage. Turned off all the lights except one in the kitchen. Sat on the couch in complete silence for about 20 minutes, processing that I'd gone from married to single in one conversation. Felt lighter, clearer, like I'd been carrying dead weight for months, and finally dropped it. Called my lawyer's after-hours line and left a detailed voicemail. Prenup in place. Wife pregnant. Wife requested open marriage. I refused and ended it. Need divorce papers immediately. Blocked Brittany's number. Blocked 3 of Madison's friends, who I knew would start texting with opinions. Linda texted around 11 saying, please don't give up on her. She's confused. Deleted it without responding. Went to bed at midnight and slept better than I had in 2 months. No phone searches. No accusations. No Brittany's voice echoing through my house. Just silence and the satisfaction of knowing I'd handled it exactly right. Monday morning, I was at my lawyer's office before 9. Told him I needed a divorce immediately. Laid out the whole story. When I mentioned the prenup, he nodded, like that was the smartest thing I'd ever done. Asked about custody. Told him 50-50 once the kid was born. Child support by the book. Everything legal. He said he'd need documentation of Madison's behavior. Turned out I'd been keeping receipts the whole time. Text screenshots. Group chat logs. Venmo history showing Brittany's constant presence. Sent him everything. Papers would be filed by end of business. Left his office and went straight to the bank. Separated every joint account we had. Changed passwords on everything shared. Removed Madison's access to my business accounts completely. That's when the banker flagged something interesting. Madison had been moving money for months. Small amounts, 50 here, 100 there. Over 2 months, she'd siphoned almost $2,000 into an account I didn't know existed. Account was sole ownership under her name. She'd been building an escape fund, probably Brittany's brilliant idea. Filed a dispute on every questionable transaction. Bank froze her hidden account pending review. Called the property management company and explained the situation. Since I'd purchased the house before we married and kept it in my name, removing her was straightforward. By noon, I'd systematically separated every shared aspect of our lives. Bank accounts, utilities, streaming services, insurance policies, everything that connected us got severed. Stopped by my business accountant's office asking if Madison's name was on anything. He confirmed she was listed as spouse for tax purposes, but had zero actual access. Told him about the divorce and asked him to document that Madison never had any involvement in business decisions or operations. He said he'd write up an affidavit stating she never attended meetings, never signed contracts, never made a single business decision. Perfect. Around 1, my phone started blowing up. Madison texted from her mom's phone saying we needed to talk about the house and bills. Told her to contact my lawyer. She sent another message asking if I was really doing this while she was pregnant. Replied that she'd asked for an open marriage, so I was giving her the ultimate open arrangement. Single. My lawyer called Tuesday saying papers were filed and Madison would be served next day. He was requesting an expedited timeline. Told me Florida required 20 days minimum if uncontested, but could drag for months if Madison fought it. That night, I went to Home Depot, bought new locks, and installed them myself. Wednesday morning, Madison got served. Within an hour, Brittany started posting long rants on social media about how I was an abuser. Screenshotted every post and sent them to my lawyer asking about defamation. He said to document everything, that if she kept going, we could add it to the filing. That evening, I got 3 friend requests on social media, all fake profiles trying to access my posts. Obviously, Brittany digging for dirt. Denied them all and made everything private. Next morning, the elementary school principal called saying Madison had filed a complaint claiming I was harassing her via her workplace. He was calling to verify. Told him I hadn't contacted the school at all. He said that's what he thought, that there was no evidence, and the matter was closed. Madison was already building her victim narrative. 3 weeks into the divorce, I got a text from an unknown number. Madison saying she needed to pick up her things the next day at 2, that she'd have someone with her. Knew immediately the someone would be Brittany. Responded that it was fine, but to make it quick. Next day, I got home early and moved all the boxes from the garage to the front porch. Before they arrived, I installed security cameras covering every angle. Front door, driveway, living room, office. Everything recording to cloud storage. They pulled up at 2:10. Both got out looking exactly how I expected. Madison had this entitled, annoyed expression. Brittany wore this smug look like she'd already won something. I opened the front door. Boxes are on the porch. Madison looked past me. I need to come inside. I think I left things in the bedroom. Everything's in the boxes. You probably missed things. I want to check. No. You can't keep me out of my own house. It's not your house anymore. If you want something, you can go through legal channels. Brittany stepped up. Are you really going to be difficult about this? I just want you to take the boxes and leave. Madison's voice went shrill. I'm not some criminal. This is ridiculous. We stared at each other for a long moment. Then Madison changed tactics, voice going softer. Please, just 5 minutes. Brittany can wait outside. Fine, 5 minutes. Brittany stays outside. I'm following you the entire time. Madison went in. I stayed 3 feet behind her. She checked the closet, the bathroom. Everything was empty. Halfway down the hallway, she stopped. I forgot to check the guest room closet. She started backtracking. I followed. That's when I heard the front door opening. Footsteps inside. Turned around fast. Brittany was in my living room heading straight for my office. Get out! Now! She froze mid-step. I was just looking. Out! I specifically told you to stay outside. Both headed for the door, but I noticed Brittany glancing back toward my office. She'd been trying to steal something specific. They loaded their boxes and drove away. Went back inside and pulled up my security camera app. Rewound the footage to review what happened. There it was in perfect clarity. While I was distracted with Madison in the guest room, Brittany had grabbed my PS5 from under the desk, tucked it under her jacket, and was heading back out when I caught her. The camera showed her dropping it when I confronted her, then kicking it back under the desk with her foot thinking I wouldn't notice. Called my lawyer immediately saying I needed a restraining order filed, that they just tried to rob me. He told me to send the footage and he'd get it filed right away. Sent him everything. Then called a moving company. By Friday, I'd moved my entire office setup to a storage unit. Reviewing the footage more carefully, I noticed something else. Madison had been taking photos of my house with her phone, room by room, probably documenting assets for her lawyer to inflate what she thought she was owed. Downloaded all the footage, burned it to a drive, Sent copies to my lawyer. Sunday night, my neighbor knocked on my door. Older guy, retired cop. Said he'd seen what happened Friday and asked if those two had tried to rob me. Told him yeah, and that I'd caught it on camera. He said his camera covered my driveway and asked if I wanted a copy of his footage too. Absolutely, I did. His footage showed a different angle. Clearly showed Brittany entering my house when she'd been explicitly told to stay outside. My lawyer called Monday saying the restraining order was filed and Madison had been notified she couldn't come within 100 yards of me or my property. Asked about the theft attempt and whether I wanted to file criminal charges. Told him I'd think about it. Tuesday morning he called saying Madison's lawyer had contacted him. They were dropping the prenup challenge entirely. They knew the theft footage killed any sympathy a judge might have had. Thursday I stopped by the police station and filed a report about the attempted theft. Gave them all the footage. Officer watched it twice and said it was clear as day. Asked if I wanted to press charges. Told him not yet, just wanted it documented. He said that was smart, that if they tried anything else this would establish a pattern. Left with a case number and copies of my report. 2 weeks later, my lawyer called about mediation. Said Madison had agreed to Thursday at 2. Asked what they were requesting. He said primary custody with child support based on my business gross income instead of net. Told him absolutely not, that I wanted 50-50 custody and state guidelines. Thursday came. Showed up in work clothes straight from a job site. Madison arrived with her lawyer wearing a maternity dress designed to make her look way more pregnant than 12 weeks. Classic manipulation. The mediator laid out ground rules, then presented their demands. Primary custody with minimal visitation for me. Child support at 3 times the state guideline. Spousal support for 2 years. It was absurd. My lawyer presented our counteroffer. 50-50 custody, child support per state guidelines, no spousal support, prenup stands. The mediator asked Madison why she wanted primary custody. Madison put on this victim voice. He kicked me out while pregnant. He clearly doesn't care about the baby. I filed for divorce because you asked to open our marriage, I said. And I have documentation of 2 months of false accusations. You're controlling. You filed a restraining order over nothing. My lawyer slid the security footage across the table. The mediator watched Madison and Brittany's attempted theft in silence. When it finished, she looked at Madison directly. Did you instruct your friend to take items not belonging to you? Madison backpedaled. I just wanted sentimental things back. The mediator pointed at the screen. A PlayStation 5 isn't exactly sentimental. I bought it for him for Christmas, so I wanted it back. My lawyer shut that down immediately. That's not how gifts work. Finally, the mediator came back with her recommendation. 50-50 custody starting when the child turned 1. Primary with Madison until then, but generous visitation for me. Child support per state guidelines. No spousal support, prenup fully enforced. If you both agree, we can settle today. Otherwise, this goes to court and gets expensive and ugly for everyone. Madison's lawyer whispered with her for a few minutes. Finally, Madison nodded. We accept the terms. Papers got signed. Just like that, it was done. Got to my truck and saw Madison and Linda walking to their car. Madison was already on her phone, probably calling Brittany to complain about how unfair everything was. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Heavy breathing, then Brittany's voice. You think you won? I think I'm divorced and moving on. You're going to regret this. I doubt it. I hung up. Next day, my buddy called saying I needed to check the county booking site. Pulled it up. There they were in matching mugshots. Madison and Brittany. Charges listed as criminal mischief and trespassing. Called him back asking what happened. He explained they'd driven to my house the night before and slashed all 4 tires on my work truck. My neighbor had caught them on his security camera and called the cops. They got pulled over 2 blocks away with the knife still in the car. Started laughing. Those were commercial grade tires on my work truck. $800 to replace. That made it a felony. He said it got better. Apparently, the knife they used to slash my tires had somehow punctured their own tire in the process. They drove on it for 2 blocks before a cop pulled them over for the rim-scraping pavement. Cop found the knife, made the connection to my house, arrested them both on the spot, called my neighbor immediately to thank him. He confirmed he'd caught everything on camera and had already given the footage to police. Said they were idiots for committing a crime, then driving away with the weapon. My lawyer called later, saying this violated Madison's restraining order, and he was filing to modify custody. Asked if he could actually do that. He said absolutely. She'd committed a crime against me after signing a settlement agreement. That changed everything. Pulled up the police report online. Both charged with felony criminal mischief because my commercial tires exceeded the dollar threshold. Both charged with trespassing because of the restraining order. Both charged with possession of burglary tools. 3 charges each. This wasn't going away with an apology. Monday morning, Madison's lawyer called mine. Apparently, she wanted to apologize for the incident. My lawyer told him she'd committed crimes. Her lawyer said she was willing to pay restitution. My lawyer said she could pay as part of her criminal case, but we weren't dropping charges. Her lawyer tried saying this could affect her teaching career. My lawyer said she should have considered that before committing felonies. He called me later laughing about the conversation. Said he was using the arrest to argue for supervised visitation, that any judge would see someone who got arrested for revenge wasn't stable enough for unsupervised custody. Wednesday, the district attorney's office called wanting to discuss my testimony. They were prosecuting both Madison and Brittany, said they were trying to negotiate a plea deal, and wanted my input on whether I'd accept restitution. Told them I'd accept full restitution for the tires, but I wasn't dropping charges. They said they understood. They took a plea deal in December. Misdemeanor criminal mischief, 1 year probation, 200 hours community service each, full restitution for my tires. Madison's teaching job survived somehow. School board decided since it was domestic-related and not child-related, she could keep her position. Barely. Brittany got fired from her boutique job the day after the arrest went public. The divorce finalized in mid-November. Settlement held exactly as agreed. 50-50 custody once the kid was born. Standard child support, prenup fully enforced. Clean break. Madison moved in with Brittany's family. 2 entitled women living under someone else's roof, both convinced they were victims instead of consequences. February came. Madison was about 6 months pregnant by then. I was at the grocery store loading bags when I saw her 2 aisles over with some guy. They weren't shopping. They were flirting. His hand was on her lower back. She was touching his arm and laughing. Grabbed my stuff and left. My buddy called the next day saying Madison was on Tinder. Asked how he knew. His friend had matched with her. Sent me screenshots of her profile. Said she was single, loved trying new restaurants, looking for something casual. 5 photos clearly showing her pregnant belly. 0 mention of actually being pregnant or having a baby on the way. Interesting strategy. Thursday, my lawyer called in the afternoon. Said Madison was in the hospital. My stomach dropped asking what happened. He said she'd gone for her prenatal appointment and the doctor couldn't find a heartbeat. They admitted her immediately. Asked about the baby. He said the pregnancy was lost at 27 weeks. Sat down hard. 6.5 months of pregnancy just gone. My kid was dead. Asked if I was okay. Told him no and that I needed to go. Drove to the hospital. Didn't go inside to see Madison. Just sat in the parking lot for an hour processing that I'd never meet my son. Phone rang. Rick calling. I heard. I'm sorry. I know you'd been preparing to be a father. What happened? Doctors are running tests. Madison's stable physically, but the baby didn't make it. 2 days later, my lawyer called with autopsy results. Placental abruption caused by physical trauma. Doctor said Madison's lifestyle, the late nights, the activity, had all contributed to increased risk of complications. Asked if he just said activity. He confirmed the hospital had done blood work when Madison was admitted. She'd had substances in her system. Hung up and put my fist through the garage wall. Not from sadness. From being right. I'd called it months ago that Madison was going to ruin this kid's life. Just didn't think she'd end it before he was even born. Rick called that evening saying he didn't know what to say. Told him there was nothing to say. He said the doctor told them if Madison had been following medical recommendations, this might not have happened. Asked how Madison was doing. He said physically she'd recover, but emotionally she was a mess. Said she wouldn't accept any responsibility and Brittany was telling her it wasn't her fault. Of course Brittany was. Rick said he was sorry I'd lost my child, that I'd lost the chance to be a father. Told him I was sorry he'd lost his grandchild too. That night I dismantled the nursery. I'd been slowly setting it up in the spare room over the past few months. Crib. I'd built myself from plans I'd found online. Changing table. Bookshelf full of kids' books I'd been collecting. Packed up everything. Donated most of it to a women's shelter. Turned the room back into a plain guest room. Took me 6 hours. By the time I finished, it was 3 in the morning, and the room looked like the pregnancy had never happened, like my son had never existed. Over the next few weeks, Madison posted long, emotional messages on social media about her loss. Comments poured in with support and sympathy. Nobody mentioned the lifestyle choices. Nobody brought up what the doctor's report actually said. One post said she'd lost her baby boy, that the pain was unbearable. Almost commented the truth. Almost posted the autopsy report showing her negligence. Decided it wasn't worth it. Brittany posted too. Long paragraphs about supporting her best friend. About how society judges pregnant women unfairly. about how complications just happen sometimes, and it's nobody's fault. Blocked them both. My lawyer called in April, said Madison's lawyer reached out wanting to waive child support obligations since there was no baby. Told him obviously. The lawyer also said Madison wanted to apologize in person. Told him absolutely not. He said that's what he'd told them. I threw myself into work after that. Picked up 2 more commercial accounts. Hired a 4th crew. Worked 12-hour days 6 days a week. Kept my mind occupied and my body exhausted so I didn't have to think about the kid I'd never meet. 6 months later, I was at Home Depot loading mulch when I saw Madison. She was wearing a Publix polo and khakis. Our eyes met. She froze. I nodded and kept loading. She called out, "Wait, please, can I have 5 minutes?" I closed my tailgate. 3 minutes. Parking lot. I wanted to apologize. For real this time. No agenda. Okay. I ruined everything. You were right about Brittany being toxic. I let her destroy us. I agreed with her. I was entitled and stupid. Thought I could treat you however I wanted and you'd just take it. I was wrong. Agreed with that too. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I finally understand. I looked at her carefully. This wasn't the same woman who demanded I open our marriage. That woman had been entitled and delusional. This woman was broken and aware of exactly how she'd gotten here. I appreciate the apology, but it doesn't change anything. We're done. I know. You need to figure out why you let Brittany control your decisions. That's your work to do. I'm trying. Good. Keep trying, but do it away from me. Are you happy? Very. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. The kid you were carrying deserved that too. But here we are. That landed hard. Watched her face crumble. I'm sorry about the baby. Every single day. It's not enough, but it's something. She turned to walk away, then stopped. Is there anything I can do to make this right? No. Nothing at all? You can't make this right. You destroyed a marriage, ended our kid, and blew up your own life. Those aren't things you fix with apologies. Those are things you live with. She walked to her car. I watched her go, felt nothing, and finished loading mulch. 2 years passed. My landscaping company expanded to 6 crews. Bought 3 acres of commercial property for equipment storage and a proper office. Started dating Amy 6 months after the divorce finalized. She moved in a year later. We got engaged last spring. Small ceremony planned for October. Life was good. I met Amy about 6 months after the divorce finalized. Met her at a client's office building where she worked as a property manager. She asked intelligent questions about our maintenance schedule, didn't play games, and when I asked her to dinner, she just said yes. No drama. No tests. No nonsense. Then Rick called. Said he needed to talk to me about something important. Unusual for him to reach out directly. We met for lunch. He looked uncomfortable the entire time. Finally, he said Madison was in a bad spot financially. Really bad. Said she'd made some poor decisions after the divorce. Got into debt. Lost her teaching job about a year ago. She was working retail and barely making rent. Asked why he was telling me this. He said Madison asked him to reach out. That she needed help and didn't know where else to turn. Her credit was destroyed. She couldn't get a loan. And she was about to get evicted. Asked if he was seriously asking me to bail her out. He said he wasn't asking. Just passing along her message. That she was desperate. Told him I appreciated him letting me know, but the answer was no. He said he understood. Asked what happened with her teaching job. He said the school board finally acted on the criminal conviction. Took them that long, but they eventually terminated her. Said she'd been appealing it, but lost. Now she was stuck in retail making minimum wage with a criminal record. He said Brittany had moved to Arizona 2 years ago, and they hadn't spoken since. Madison had finally cut her off, but the damage was done. Everything she'd destroyed with Brittany's help was still destroyed. She was just doing it alone now. Rick said Madison had been to 3 different payday loan places and maxed out 2 credit cards. She was drowning. Told Rick that Madison made her choices, and those choices had consequences. That I wasn't her safety net. He said he knew, that he'd told her the same thing, but she insisted he ask anyway. Said she had nowhere else to go. Told him she'd have to figure it out like everyone else. We finished lunch and that was it. Week later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Answered it. Madison's voice. First time I'd heard it in 2 years. Rick talked to you? He did. I lost everything. I don't know what to do. I'll pay you back with interest. I don't believe that. And even if I did, the answer's still no. She started crying. I don't know what else to do. I'm going to end up homeless. 2.5 years ago, you asked to open our marriage because Brittany convinced you I was cheating. You siphoned money from our accounts. You tried to steal from my house. You slashed my tires. You cost me my son through your negligence. And now you want my help because you finally ran out of options. I know I was terrible. I made horrible decisions. But that was years ago. I've changed. Changed people don't wait until they're desperate to apologize. They apologize when they realize what they've done, not when they need something. I did apologize. I tried to apologize 2 years ago. You apologized after everything was already destroyed and you'd already faced consequences. That wasn't remorse. That was damage control. What am I supposed to do? Exactly what I did when my life fell apart. Figure it out. Get a second job. Live with roommates. Cut expenses. Do what everyone else does when they're broke. It's not fair. I've already suffered enough. Fair is a concept for kindergartners. Adults live with consequences. I don't know where else to turn. That's not my problem. I'm sorry. I'd give anything to take it all back. I'm sure you would. Now that being entitled and stupid finally caught up with you. But 2 years ago, when you had a good job and a roof over your head, you weren't sorry then. You were vindictive. Now that you need something, suddenly you're remorseful. Are you really going to let me end up on the street? I'm not letting you do anything. You did this to yourself. Every single choice that led you here was yours. The paranoia, the open marriage demand, the theft, the tire slashing, the negligence that cost us our son. All you. You chose Brittany over common sense. You chose chaos over stability. You chose to burn everything down. Now you're living in the ashes and expecting me to rebuild for you. I don't expect you to rebuild anything. Just help me get stable. No. She went quiet for a long time. She hung up, heard through the grapevine a few months later that Madison had moved to North Carolina. Fresh start, apparently. Found a teaching assistant position at a private school. Not great money, but better than retail. She was sharing an apartment with 2 roommates, 33 years old, living like she was 25 again. But at least she was surviving. Brittany tried reaching out to me once on social media. Long message about how she was sorry for her part in everything, that she'd been going through her own issues back then, that she hoped I was doing well. Deleted it without responding. Some people think an apology is a magic reset button. It's not. It's just words. Usually too late and always self-serving. Amy and I got married in October. Small ceremony like we'd planned. Both our families there. My parents looked genuinely happy for the first time in years. Rick and Linda didn't come, obviously, but Rick sent a card wishing us well. Classy move. Respected that. Company hit 7 figures in revenue last quarter. Expanded to 8 crews. Bought 2 more trucks. Hired a full-time office manager so I could focus on growth instead of paperwork. The business I'd built from nothing was thriving. The house I'd protected with a prenup was paid off. The life I'd rebuilt after Madison tried to destroy it was better than anything I'd had before. Now she was living with roommates in another state, working as a teaching assistant at 33 years old. I was married to someone who actually respected me, running a thriving business, and genuinely happy. The math wasn't complicated. Amy's pregnant now. Found out last month. We're having a girl. Due in June. This time I'm actually excited. No paranoia. No accusations. No toxic friends poisoning everything. Just 2 people who chose each other building something together. The nursery's going up next month. I'm building the crib myself again. Different plans this time. Better ones. Madison was my past. Amy is my present. My daughter is my future. Everything else is just noise. Some people get what they deserve. Some people learn from their mistakes. Some people just keep making the same bad choices until they run out of options. Madison fell into that third category. I'd made peace with that a long time ago. Life moves forward because it has to. The only question is whether you're moving forward towards something better or just running from something worse. I'd chosen better. Madison had chosen chaos. We both got exactly what we'd chosen. That's just how it works. The end.